so all this big news coming out, because now CNN's reporting the same thing we've been saying in the last few days, is that we've caught them red-handed. There's no mystery to Benghazi.
September 11, 2012. An American ambassador is brutally murdered. 3 other Americans killed. An organized assault with automatic weapons and rocket-propelled grenades. A security request submitted 4 months earlier, denied, even after 2 bombings preceding the anniversary of 9/11. And fears of being killed expressed by Ambassador Stevens himself. Yet President Obama's officials insisted they had no actionable intelligence requiring increased security.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have solved the Benghazi mystery, and we solved it 9 months ago, just a few weeks after the September 11th attack on the embassy substation that killed Ambassador Stevens and other CIA State Department personnel. I think the most amazing facet of it, and what kind of dumbfounds me personally, is that it's 100% fact that the White House, Obama, the State Department, the CIA, the Pentagon ordered a stand down and sat there and waited 14 hours to get people on the ground, and it took them over 6 hours to overrun the embassy substation arms cache and kill the people inside. It was the front office of a large warehouse complex out back with thousands of heat-seeking missiles, anti-aircraft guns, rocket launchers, so both small, medium, and some heavy arms. And I've spent the last day going back and digging up the Colonel Schaefer interviews, the Wayne Madsen interviews, the Dr. Steve Pieczenik interviews, where they all laid out in the days, weeks, and months after. Going back 10 months ago to September 11th last year, within just a few days and then weeks and months, they laid it all out that their sources said there was a stand-down ordered by Obama, that there was a giant arms cache there with the ambassador from Turkey being there, and that it was being transferred to Syria, and that the Benghazi security force had been ordered to basically go over and kill the ambassador and everybody inside by an unnamed group. Who do you think pays them? The White House. To get rid of witnesses so they could basically have plausible deniability later and say, oh my gosh, al-Qaeda got all these missiles, we've got to take your rights away. They've got thousands of missiles crippling Europe and the U.S. We've got to set checkpoints up everywhere and take all your rights and have the TSA, stick their hands down your pants everywhere because of al-Qaeda. We laid all that out with our guest and our sources, who weren't speculating. They were told this by their CIA, FBI, Defense Department, State Department sources. And we on record with an NSA whistleblower, Wayne Madsen, with the former head of State Department Psychological Warfare, Dr. Steve Pieczenik, with the former head of major operations in Black Ops, Colonel Tony Schaefer, and other guests we had on. From September of last year and October and November, 7 different links, 3 of them posted, video interviews / radio with Colonel Schaefer, Wayne Madsen, Dr. Steve Pieczenik on the show first on our broadcast, breaking down exactly what happened at Benghazi. And ladies and gentlemen, if I knew this a few days and a few weeks after the entire government in the State Department, the FBI, the CIA, the Defense Department, NATO, they all know. There was 2 Predator drones over. There was a C-130. It took them 14 hours to get personnel there. They stood down for over 6 hours to let them be killed. That is a premeditated, deliberate stand down. And we have a congresswoman who is a former ambassador saying only the president could order a stand down of something of that magnitude on a State Department facility. And that's what went on. That's what happened. Congresswoman, Obama gave Benghazi stand down order. And we're going to be going over Ann Wagner's comments, the congresswoman, on that as well. You will see my guest with their sources in the Pentagon, the State Department, the NSA, the CIA, and NATO. They all laid it out. 3 different guests, and I had some others on as well, but they were speculating. These guys all had sources that said the same thing. And by the way, when Colonel Schaefer was on the broadcast, he ran Stratus Ivy and other major programs, could have killed bin Laden twice, was ordered to stand down in 2000 and 2001, testified in the 9/11 hearings. He was called in and threatened when he came on my show and said that, and couldn't come on for like 6-7 months after that happened, and is only now able to come on the show. I mean, it was a total freak out when he came on and said what he said. And what did he say? Heat-seeking missiles were transferred out of 3 giant warehouses. You can look at the Google Maps of this, that were controlled by that building behind it, filled with all of these heavy, medium, and light weapons. We're talking thousands of over 10,000 heat-seeking missiles missing in Libya. Several thousand. I also talked off record to an Air Force colonel here in Austin, Texas. I'll just leave it at that. I talked to an Air Force colonel in person that said, yes, they got most of the 10,000 heat-seeking missiles, and there were thousands in that building alone. And you had the Turkish ambassador, the foreign minister, there meeting hours before. My guest broke that months and months before it was in the news. And if you just tuned in, what am I getting at here? CNN Thursday night came out and said, oh, we're breaking that there were 35 CIA operatives in warehouses behind the building, and that there were missiles and heat-seeking missiles in there. Now, we broke this here, okay? And I don't want the credit. I just want people to understand, we don't make stuff up. I told you a year and a half ago, right after the Navy SEALs, 20 plus, was it 23 Navy SEALs, blew up on a Chinook aircraft in a fake mission and then were attacked once they hit the ground, that I talked to a Navy SEAL who's a friend of the family, for one of my dad's friends. He's friends with his father. We've known him for over a decade, you know, enough to come over and, you know, barbecues at my parents' house. And they said, no, he's in another SEAL team. I'm not going to say the SEAL team, but that everybody that they talked to in SEAL Team 6 knows there was a bomb on the helicopter. And it was a setup. Well, I told you that over a year ago. Now that's Fox News, that's Associated Press, since Michael Savage had some of the families on saying it 2 weeks ago. And then that forced them to cover it. And we're in contact with the families as well. But they've been scared to come on so far. These are actual families that lost family. Not the SEAL I knew, who an active duty who has friends in SEAL Team 6. I don't make stuff up, you understand? And I know real information when I get it. And I don't know where the other talk show hosting people are. You think you're just going to play games with the New World Order? You're going to play games with the corrupt corporate mafias that have taken over our government? You think any of you are going to have a future? You think your bank accounts, your pension funds, your jobs are safe? Nobody's safe until we wake up as a country and get our nation back on track. We've never been perfect, folks, but we've never been this corrupt and this overrun by special interests. And corrupt forces have never gotten away with things at this magnitude. You think I'm happy that we were all proven right from 10 months ago, 9.5 months ago? I guess it was about 9.5 months ago. We broke this. And I sat there on Thursday and Friday going, didn't we report this first? And I went and looked at it Friday, and I looked at it Saturday. I'm like, and my contacts and who we had on the air, we broke that. And then we're so forward-looking, fighting the next globalist threat, the next authoritarian wave, that we weren't even going to report on the fact that we broke all this. And then, weeks after we broke all this, credit where it's due, the Kudlow report, that I got to be honest, that show continues to actually tell the truth on so many issues. Like when the foreign banks brag they've conquered us, they show the headline. With the YouTube stamped, because we're also a TV show, not just radio, YouTube stamped uploads from a week after the September 11th attack in Benghazi last year, 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, a month after, 2 months after, laying it out first, everything that happened in Benghazi. And why is that important? Well, the next media outlet that I saw to tell the truth from their sources was the November 11th program on CNBC, the Kudlow Report, with John Batchelor, who I continue to see tell the truth. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. And he may, I can't vouch for him on every subject. I don't watch it routinely. I just continue to see clips where that guy, was getting accurate information. And I wish this wasn't true. I wish it was just a group of out-of-control jihadis that went and killed some people. I wouldn't be happy about that, but it's a lot less scary than, well, wait a minute. My sources said that they hired several hundred local al-Qaeda militia, the same ones that they'd put in charge in Benghazi when they used that as a base of operations against Gaddafi, NATO, Obama, the globalist. And Congress had some issues with that, obviously, arming al-Qaeda there. And then they were using it to arm out of Libya, the weapons left over from that war, and Gaddafi's stockpiles that were pretty high-tech, including British, U.S., and French-made missiles, heat seekers, to then give those to al-Qaeda, that is the main force, attacking Assad in Syria, to then turn that country over to al-Qaeda. And again, I've been telling you this for over 2 years. Now it's mainstream news that, yes, al-Qaeda makes up over 60% of the main fighters against Assad. Again, showing that our so-called government is using these people to destabilize the world and as a pretext to take our liberties. And I'm going to explain how this works in a moment. But this is a big deal that this has now been confirmed, because you have Colonel Schaefer and Wayne Madsen coming up in the next segment, and Dr. Pieczenik and all these government sources we have, and an Air Force colonel separately that I talked to off record just a month after it happened, all confirmed what is just widely known. The Air Force colonel said it is widely known. Anybody with an intelligence clearance knows it, because it was in situation rooms in the Pentagon, situation rooms in Langley, Virginia at the CIA, the NSA, on the aircraft carriers, the Mediterranean, at the NATO headquarters. They all had feeds of it happening in high def from the predators. And he said he talked to people that were on duty and witnessed it. And I mean, and people sat there as it played out hour after hour. It's one thing if you drop a missile and then a kid walks outside the hut, you go, oh my gosh, we killed a kid. It's another thing to sit there and watch people killed and fighting back hour after hour and being ordered to stand down. And then to see it all lied about in the media. That's why Benghazi is so dangerous for the Obamanoids. And so there was a stand down. The security that they hired to run Benghazi was the group. We have their name, the list, all of it, that went and did the killing. But they had inside knowledge of how to attack the facility. That's now come out. Everything we were told came out later to be confirmed. And now CNN and the London Telegraph and AP and others are saying, yes, we've talked to CIA people. They're being given monthly polygraphs, something that's usually done every 2 years, to find out if they're talking to the media, to cover up what's happening. And these people are so mad about what happened, they tell us it was an arms deal and it was missiles and heat-seeking missiles. I mean, boom. That's Jack Tapper reporting that. So let's go to a small clip from that full report. 9+ months after we told you first. Again, we know what we're talking about. This has now come out. And the bigger issue is, if we know, if Alex Jones knows, if Mike Guest know, the whole system knows, okay? So this is not a mystery to people in government. This is not a mystery to the media whores. Let's go to this clip.
Lawmakers want to know about what happened with the terrorist attacks. There's this question of the weapons in Libya that were there and what happened to them.
Yeah, the speculation on Capitol Hill has included that, Jake. The possibility that the U.S. agencies operating in Benghazi were actually secretly helping to move specifically surface-to-air missiles out of Libya through Turkey and into the hands of Syrian rebels. We know 2 U.S. agencies operating in Benghazi. One was the State Department, and then the other was the CIA. The State Department told us they were only helping the new Libyan government destroy weapons that were deemed damaged, aged, or too unsafe to retain, and that the State Department was not involved in any transfer of weapons to other countries. But the State Department, Jake, clearly told us they can't speak for any other agencies, meaning the CIA. And when you start talking about missions, the CIA just flatly would not go on record.